What's going on, guys? Are we live? It says we're live. What's happening, everybody? Hope everybody having a fantastic whatever day you're watching this. Doing a bit of a quick show, Two Wheel Tuesday. If you're not familiar with my channel, by the way, thanks for stopping by. My channel is basically a background noise generator, usually talking about motorcycles, could be talking about car stuff, or who knows what we'll end up talking about on this show. But the main thing is that the live show gives me an opportunity to interact directly with you guys in real time. And I will also, in many cases, I'll go over topics that I either have upcoming for a standalone video, or I might be talking a particular topic that for whatever reason I just could not make work for a regular video, like you just click on it and watch it. So this is an opportunity again to be in a bit more of a long form format with you guys in mind. Now, what have I been up to in the shop lately? Well, primarily, if you haven't seen any of the other videos that I've been putting out, which you're forgiven if you haven't, it's been basically nothing but GSXR 750 chat. And the reason for that, quite honestly, is that the GSXR 1000 is down. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But I'm also waiting on other parts for the 750 to show up. I need to get some break-in miles and just time on that bike and get you guys content, let you know what I'm finding with that bike as I'm kind of getting reacclimated to this bike. So with that, let's see. It's been Gixxer Mania. Yeah, it's been Gixxer at the marina too. Ryan saying, "Sup, Professor Ben, rough day house hunting for bigger house now, such a pain." Man, I tell you what, I would not want to be house hunting right now. Smoking Hot and I have been putting some time. She's been putting in way more work and time into that house than I have. I'll tell you what, man, it is crazy, the market right now for that. So I do not envy your position. But Bill in, good to see you, Bullet. And then Ryan saying it's been Gixxer. Yeah, so here's the thing. It has been a bit Gixxer Mania, but yeah, can you forgive me? I mean, the bike really is that much fun to ride. And I get it. Yes, I've got the Triumph T120, the Daytona, and the GSXR 1000 to do content with. But man, here lately, I've just been grabbing the keys to the 750, and it's that it really is that much fun for me. And I got to tell you, the 750 is kind of putting the 1000 into perspective, and it's putting pretty much every bike that I ride for the channel into a bit of a unique perspective. It's kind of a pivot number, if you will. The best way I can describe the GSXR 750 is it faster than that bike? Is it torquier than that bike? Does it rev out like that bike? It's a nice barometer to set maybe an understanding of how a particular bike rides, because man, I got to tell you, it's tough to beat that machine as far as overall performance is concerned. And I got to tell you, I'm kind of giving the 750 a little bit more of a critical eye though now that I've had an opportunity to ride it, spend some serious time with it. And every time I ride that bike, it is on the side of the tire. I'm trying to push whatever limits I have or that I feel comfortable with that bike on the street. And I'm finding that there are very few things that I would like to change about that bike. Now, you got to remember, I used to have a 2006 GSXR 750, and that bike was and saw track use, a lot of canyon, very little highway use, though, out of that bike. And realistically speaking, my bike now has got to deal with much more highway riding and things like that. So I'm not really going to set it up as aggressively as my old 750, but that's only to say that the bike just needs to keep a little bit longer legs. Basically, if I want to relive the old aggressiveness, I'll just drop a gear. So you can't really say aggressive and have it really mean anything when we're talking about the gear setup and the split on that 750, my old one versus the new one. Oh, Ryan's Insane been eyeballing a lighter sprocket and chain set for the Gixxer to give a little bit more flickability. Oh, Sam's saying he's getting some hiccups on the stream. Hopefully this thing will hold together. Typically, if I go live at say 9:30 Central Standard Time, it's usually a little bit easier for whatever reason for the live to just be smooth. I don't know why that is, but it is live stuff, so you might get a little blip here or there. Hopefully this one holds together. In the past, we've had some bad luck when I tried to go live early, so maybe this one will hold. We'll see. Our fingers remain crossed. So one of the things about the GSXR 750, and I've been putting out as much content on this bike as I can, one of the things is the throttle throw. This is something that I had changed early on with my 06 GSXR 750. And it's an interesting thing. Okay, get a load of this. The GSXR 750 and the 1000 share the same throttle tube. And if you measure it just in terms of actual twist, it would seem like they're fairly similar, with the GSXR 750 having maybe 3 or 4 millimeters more travel. Basically saying that, well, it could have a larger gear, just the cam that the cables go around could be a little bit larger on the 750. And so that would lend it to having a little bit longer throttle throw. But I got to tell you, it's kind of weird, because in practice, just riding the bike, it feels almost like I need to start reeling in throttle on the 750 versus the 1000. And I have, I've sat on the bike, and both of them, the 750 and the 1000, and I've played with the throttle throw, and there's a definite difference between the two. And it's funny, just that 2 or 3-ish millimeters in total throttle throw does make a big difference. And so I have ordered a G2 quick throttle for the bike. I was a little bit on the fence about that with this bike, especially making this change before the bike is tuned with an exhaust. But I got to tell you guys, it is not going to be worlds different than where it is now. And it'll allow that bike to go to full throttle easier. And that helps me in one particular spot. If you guys watch the videos that I put out on pretty much any bike that's in the fleet, that's not coming from the dealership, there's a right-hander, left-hander switchback. And you'll always hear me say, I'm setting it up, dropping it in, maintenance throttle, rolling or rolling on. And then you'll either hear me say watt, or wide open throttle. And then I'll immediately start rolling out, start blipping for a downshift, and I drop it into the left. What I'm showing you is just me setting the bike up, trail braking, going through a corner, and just how to do it, right? Well, part of the issue with the 750 is that when you're on the side of the tire and you're looking through that right-hander, really any turn, but it's really on right-handers because of how your arms are. It's that twist of the throttle, and it's like, this thing do I have to twist to get it to wide open? I don't have that problem with the 1000. I can go to wide open throttle as that bike's coming right back up, and I don't even think about it. It feels like it has a quick throttle already on it. The Daytona has a quick throttle, and you guys may or may not remember, but the Kawasaki 900 RS Cafe, it had a quick throttle on it. And it's very similar, by the way, to the power output of the GSXR 750. But the other bike was the Katana. The Katana also had, I guess you could say, a quick throttle. It had a stock GSXR 1000 throttle on it, because from the factory, that bike actually comes with a much less aggressive throttle. And so to get an aggressive throttle, you just basically throw a stock GSXR 1000 throttle at it. So in saying all of that, I guess it would be weird if I didn't put a quick throttle on this thing, considering pretty much every bike that's been in the fleet that isn't or wasn't the T-Bird or the Rebel has had a quick throttle on it. So yeah, that is a thing that's going to be happening soon. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to getting the exhaust on this bike and making it so that it's not as loud, making it so that it is louder in the back of the bike than it is in the front. Which was pretty funny when I did that little test. The other thing that I'm having a lot of fun though with this bike is the fact that it is so analog. It's very much like a throwback riding experience every time I ride that thing. So the more I get to spend time with it, the more it really is like I got my old 750 back. And for that, I'm kind of thankful. You know, of the bikes that I've owned over the years, my 750 is the one that I truly did miss the most. Maybe because I had it the longest. Maybe it was because I had so many miles on that bike and had so many good memories that were tied into it. But I got to tell you, as much as I may like riding my 1000, it's just not as, the 1000 just doesn't have the playful nature that the 750 does. But I feel like the 750, you absolutely have to have a tune, exhaust, and all the, get that bike to where it is going to be where it should be, responsiveness and things like that. Don't even get me started on the brake. But let me check in with you guys real quick. Sam's saying he's got a pretty significant delay. Guys, what's the feed looking like? Are we still getting hit with weird delays, or is this one looking halfway decent? So we're coming into the live a little bit on the late side as far as starting time. Kind of hedging a bet that we would have some pretty clean air. Ryan saying it doesn't look bad, so we will keep on trucking. So getting back to the bike though. So yes, G2 quick throttle is on the way. Probably going to go with a set of the Domino Suzuki replica grips. I'm really not getting all the fancy stuff, just the regular black. I am going to glue them and safety tie them. So don't worry. I'm way ahead of you there, guys. I didn't do that on the other bikes. I probably will with the 750. Mainly just because, but I do have some very specific grip glue coming for that bike. The other thing was the gearing with my bike. I am very happy with the stock gearing that's on that bike. I had thought about going to a different gear set, and I was going to go basically a 1644, which would be a little bit more aggressive, but switch to a 520. That may end up happening, a 520 chain, which is a lighter weight, strong chain. Thought that I would maybe go with that at some point, significantly later down the line. But for now, I'm just going to stick with the stock gearing and let her rip. Because I am going to be running this bike for a decent amount of time on the freeway, I do still want to allow it to have the legs to do so and not be so buzzy in the process. But again, we'll see how this bike does once the exhaust goes on this thing, once it's got the tune, the quick throttle, and everything else. What I may end up doing with this bike, depending on how it sets up in sweepers, I might end up doing the same thing to the 750 that I did to the 1000, which is to go down a tooth in the rear. And it might seem a little bit counterintuitive, but it depends on how you ride your bike and which gear you need to either lengthen or shorten. And in some cases, going down a tooth out back can make certain gears work better depending on the environment that you're typically running these things in. Sam's going to 8th mile drag mower. I like it. There's guys that get into that stuff. You find people putting all kinds of engines on lawnmowers. Ryan saying, thoughts on the lighter sprocket and chain set though? Would I notice a little bit more pep working out the things I want to do before the tune? it all comes into concert, right? So it's not the chain set that you're going to notice the big difference. It's not the lighter weight rear rotor that you may notice a difference with. It's not the lighter weight battery. It's not the anything really. It's not any one particular change that you make that you're going to just outright notice straight away, unless you went with a gear change. But it's as everything works together. And remember that, ounces make pounds. And if you can take a little bit of weight out here, a little bit of weight out there, next thing you know, you've pulled 5, 7, 10 pounds out of this thing, and you don't really know how you got there. And it really is, picking and choosing where you pull weight out and what's going to make sense. I mean, the exhaust that's going to be the biggest change that you're going to make in terms of outright weight, with about a 10-pound weight savings there. And then from there, you could go lightweight battery. There's another 3, maybe 4 pounds. With taking the mirrors off of my bike, that was 2 pounds. The tail tidy was what was the tail tidy? Tail tidy was about a pound worth of savings. And so next thing you know, the passenger foot pegs going with the solo bracket, that was another pound. Actually, it might have been another 2 pounds. Anyway, by the time it's said and done, even just the goofing around that I've been doing, you start to pull the weight out. Now, again, are you going to notice it? Not individually, but if you were to do everything as a whole in one shot, then that's when you'd really start to notice the difference. Oh, Ryan's saying he's got his exhaust, saying he should have it tomorrow. Very nice. I'm jealous, I got to admit. Mine is somewhere in the workflow. But I'm getting the stainless steel. The reason why I'm getting the stainless steel is I just like gold. And so it was a little bit of a cost thing, but with a little bit of the money that I'm going to save with the stainless, and there's not that big of a weight savings. It's about 1.3 pounds if memory serves me correctly. I may end up going with like a lithium battery, and I could probably throw in a lightweight rotor at the same time. My stuff really isn't going to get messed with though until I need to put tires on it. And then at that point, then yeah, I'll go ahead and we'll probably swap out a rotor, maybe put a different sprocket on it if for no other reason, just to have it look better. But it won't be lighter than the factory, because the factory sprocket, as we've already found, is really the lightest sprocket you can put on the bike. Let's see, what else? Exhaust, tune. Probably going to stick with the factory air filter, only because, guys, if you've never seen the inside of the air box on some of these sport bikes, it's not if it's going to collect a lot of dirt and debris, it's how much and how fast. I recently, and we can talk about this, but this might answer a question or two already as far as what's going on with the 1000. But I've recently had that bike pulled apart, and what I did is I went back with a factory air filter. And the reason for that is when I pulled it apart, I had dust, dirt, bugs, everything in that air box. And even though that DNA air filter did a good job of filtering, I suppose, any kind of dust or debris is going to be a bit of an issue. Plus, I just did kind of the layman like blow test on the 2 filters. And if I didn't know any better, I would say that the stock filter might have flowed a little bit better. What do I know, right? But anyway, going back with the stock filter. Ryan saying, the crud inside the airbox, I'm waiting to find a bird in that thing. So here's the funny thing about maybe the size of a small bird. I had a big ass dragonfly that it didn't go into it, but it was on the air intake of the 1000. So yeah, there's that. But no, recently having that bike taken apart and going through it, looking at it, dealing with some annoyances with me just getting greedy, trying to pull more power out of that bike. And I'll be honest with you guys, the juice just wasn't worth the squeeze going to the velocity stack. So I'm actually going back to the factory stacks on that bike with a factory filter, and just let it ride from there. It'll be a little bit more aggressive in lower RPM. It's going to be a little, I don't want to call it buzzy. The velocity stacks did tend to smooth it out a little bit, and the power delivery seemed like it was a bit more linear. But I got to tell you, and I don't want to badmouth anybody's company or product, but I had personally some issues with my experience with that. And I got to looking at it, and I had started having some second guesses when it came to material and longevity and some other issues. So that's why I decided to make the switch back. Oh, Ryan, stacks on the 750, don't do it. It's absolutely not worth it. 100%. The only way that they would be worth it on the 750, Ryan, is if you started doing stuff to that engine that you wouldn't want to do anyway. We're talking, 14, 15 to 1 compression ratio, completely different cams, race setup, running that thing up to about 16,000 RPM. In that case, yeah, you'd want to, but realistically, no, you're way better off with the stock velocity stacks. I'll even take that a step further. The original equipment engineers got paid a whole lot of money to figure out how to get the best overall power profile out of these bikes. The only time adjusting, and I ended up taking a deep dive into this, and the only way that these other components really start to make sense is if the bike literally has to perform way on the right side of a dyno chart. That's the only time. And you need to be dedicated with the build too, which means that you're probably not going to be going with something that's going to be all flopping around like that pieces. Anyway, it's a no-go for sure. Let's see here. Getting the first, there we go. The first notice that our link is not stable. Ride and Grind say, would Aprilia RS660 to GSXR 750 be too big of a jump after 1 year on the Aprilia and 2 years total of street riding? Okay, so a couple of things to unpack here for you, Ride. I would say that the RS660 is a hell of a bike. There is a significant jump between the two, but it's not like it's not like over the horizon far, right? Like it's a decent jump, but it's not too big of a jump. And 2 years of total street riding. Here's the funny thing about that. I would give yourself another year on the RS660 and get really good with it. Practice, practice, practice. Play. The biggest thing with bikes, and you cannot take them seriously. You need to take what you're doing seriously, but play with it, enjoy it. And once you get to a place with the RS660 where you really can feel ultra confident with that bike, and you are extremely aware of how that bike puts down power, and you're able to execute evasive maneuvers, emergency maneuvers, you can basically carve at will, so to speak, then at that point, start looking to move up. And the only reason why I say give it an extra year, if you want to get into a 750, the thing about a 750 versus a 660 is that you're going from about 100 horsepower to about 140 horsepower at the flywheel. And that is a significant jump. But you're also going from a P2 parallel twin to a 4-cylinder. And there are those that would say that it's going to be a significant difference. You're going to have all of the punch that you have with the 660 down low. It's just going to want to keep carrying and carrying. Wait, what is this? Error. Oh, sorry, guys, had a thing pop up. More than one ingestion is using the primary. I don't know what this is. Did it just freeze up on y'all's end? I don't know what is going on with the stream tonight. Man, this is crazy. Back to the funky old days with this stuff. Anyway, the idea is that you want to make it as seamless of a transition as you can. With all that being said, remember that with the GSXR 750, you can always dial it back. It does have a ride mode. It's like a rain mode, but it's also like a governor mode. Because let me explain to you how the 7 may end up being a really good fit for. And I only bring the 2 years that you've got, as opposed to being, on a bike for say 4 or 5 years. A lot of bikes have rain mode that just numbs the throttle and then will give you full power if you go to wide open throttle at some RPM. Where the GSXR 750 is kind of trick. It doesn't have any real nannies, but what it does have is a true reduced power mode. What it will do is if you put it in mode B, you basically have the same power output as a GSXR 600. It's a little bit less than that, I believe, but it is still less nonetheless. It will ramp in power more easily, and then it doesn't give you full throttle opening. And so you could, if you wanted to, go ahead and make the switch to the GSXR 750 and then ride it around in B mode for about 2 or 3, maybe 4 times that you ride it. Get a feel for the bike, get a feel for how it's going to accelerate, and then just fire it up one day, throw it in A mode, and start learning the bike and the ins and outs of it. Right. Nope, my scary ass will be on track except in 4 wheels. I'll tell you what, man. You say that now, Ryan, but I'm telling you, getting an opportunity to be on track on a bike, even if you're in novice class. By the way, don't ever let anybody bully you into going up a class or give you any shit. Just ride whatever you're comfortable with. If you're comfortable in like novice, yeah, so it depends on the novice, B group, A group, or novice. Some have C group, B group, A group. It doesn't matter what class you're in, what group you're in, just ride. And it's fun. When you get out on track, it can be a lot of fun. By the way, I'll just say this. I used to tail gun the novice class. And if you guys don't know what that means, is that you'd have an instructor up front and an instructor all the way in the back. And what you're there to do is make sure everybody's behaving themselves. And if anything weird happens along the way, you're there to help scoop them up or whatever. There is nothing more terrifying than a novice group, because there's no telling. They got people bumping into each other. It can be funny. So anyway, Ryan saying, I had the CF Moto 675 less than a year, but wanted more to play with. Yes, once you're comfortable, then move up. If doubting the jump, the power on tap is very noticeable. The difference between the two bikes is going to be pretty noticeable indeed. And Ryan's saying it looks like the feed's working. So I don't know what these error codes are. I have no idea. Ryan saying the old lady in B mode, she doesn't like mode B. She did like riding on the CF Moto. Maybe it was her seating position. Could have been. But yeah, guys, I just wanted to touch base with y'all tonight. Really giving y'all some updates, what's coming up, what's going on with the 750. Guys, I got to tell you, I'm having a ton of fun reconnecting with that bike. And I'm also having fun learning more about the 1000. And I kind of broke one of my own rules with that bike. I should have not gotten greedy in terms of trying to make more power with that thing. I got kind of caught up in it's going to be smoother. Oh, it'll pull a little bit better up top. And after I rode it, I would have probably agreed with that long term. But again, ran into a bit of a situation with it and just decided, you know what, man, I'm done trying to outsmart people that get paid a lot more money than I do to figure this stuff out. So there is that. As far as other bikes that are up and coming, it has been pouring down rain down here. And just because of holiday schedules and things like that, I haven't had a chance to get to the dealership and get you guys some more ride reviews, but they are coming, I promise. And hopefully they're going to be coming a lot sooner than later, weather permitting. But with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank each and every one of y'all for showing up and hanging out with me this evening. And be on the lookout. Yes, I'm going to be posting different bikes other than the 750, but check those out. Like I say, as I'm learning more about that bike and, making some new observations with it, I'll just keep bringing that. And of course, as the mods start coming, y'all be right along there with me, either installing or riding this thing afterwards and getting my impressions on it. And with that, guys, I am going to wrap it up. Listen, get out there and do something cool for somebody. Chances are they need it way more than you know. And with that, I'm out. Take care, guys.